Hi everyone, and welcome to another Excel tutorial video brought to you by the Bentley CIS Sandbox. My name is Connor, and today I'm going to help you work through Excel tutorial 2.3 on formatting. As you can see, we've got some data here. These data are actually from Google's stock prices over the past, I believe it's 250 days. Let's just double check here. Yep, we've got about 250 rows, so this isn't all going to fit on one page, which is something that we're going to have to deal with later. So what our task today is going to be is to format these data in a way that is going to be suitable to put in a report for you to hand in to a professor for an assignment, and just to make it look a little bit nicer. So our first step is going to be to get rid of all these number signs. And if you've used Excel before, you'll know that these number signs mean that the data in these cells are fine, but the problem is that the cell isn't wide enough to display the whole thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on column A, we're going to go to column width, and we're going to change it from 8 to 10. Whoops. To 10. Okay? So now we can see everything. Another way to do that is just to double click on this border here between the A column and the B column, and that's going to auto size that column. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to add another column to the data that we've got here, and we're going to call it change. Okay? And this column is simply going to be the amount that the stock changed from its open to its close in a certain day. So in order to get that, the formula that we're going to type in is going to be equals the closing price minus the opening price, right? So we can see on September 14th, the stock opened at $709.60 and closed at $709.68. So in that day, it went up in price by 8 cents. So we're going to copy this formula down into all the cells below it. Now, we could do this by typing in that same formula into every single row, or we could grab this little nub here on the bottom of this cell and drag it down to fill in all these cells. So we're going to drag this down through all 250 rows. All right, great. Now we're going to jump back up to the top. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change these decimal points, because as you can see, there's no real consistency here. In the very first row alone, we've got a number with 1 decimal point, a number with no decimal points, and a number with 2 decimal points. That's really no good for us. So for all these dollar amounts, which are going to be these 4 rows, and the change row, but we're going to deal with that in a second. We're going to select these 4 rows, or these 4 cells, and we're going to try to select the whole column. So in order to do that, you're going to press the Shift key on your keyboard, and you're going to hold it. And you're also going to hold the Control key, and you're going to press the down arrow. I'll explain that in 1 second, but for now, let's format this as currency. Okay? Great. So, what the Shift and the Control keys on your keyboard do is they control all the relevant cells in one direction. So from cell C2, if I hold Shift and Control and press the left arrow, I'll select C2, B2, and A2. Again, if I start in cell C2 and I hit Control and Shift, and I hold them, and then I press the down arrow, I will actually select all the relevant cells in the C column. This is just a useful trick to help you when you have to select large amounts of data. All right, now let's do the same thing with the change column. Do you remember how I told you to do this? Hold Shift, hold Control, and press the down arrow. And we're going to format this as in accounting again. All right, so as you can see, this has already made this look a little bit nicer because we've got the parentheses around the negative values, but we're going to make this just a little bit nicer. We're going to select this whole change column again, or if you still got it selected, that's fine too. And we're going to go to Conditional Formatting. And we're going to go to Highlight Cell Rules, and we're going to say greater than. So we want the good days in Google's last couple of months to stand out, and we want the bad days to stand out. So let's pick any cell that has a value greater than $10. And we're going to make it green fill with dark green text. These are Google's good days. These are days when the stock went up by a very good amount. As you can see, there's a number of these. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is select that same range again. And under Conditional Formatting, we're going to go less than. And any days that Google had a negative day or lost money on their stock, we're going to put light red fill with dark red text. So any cells that have a value less than 0 are going to have light red fill and dark red text. Excellent. So with the accounting format, if we've done this right, all the numbers that are in parentheses should also be shaded red. Looks pretty good to me. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change these data into a table to make it look a little bit nicer. So again, using the Shift and Control keys, we're going to select first the top row, and then the entire range. So once that entire range is selected, we're going to say Format as Table. And we're going to pick style Medium 2. Because our data have headers here, we're going to leave this checkbox checked and just hit OK. Great. So now we've got a nice little table. We can change the look and feel of this a little bit if we want. For instance, we can take off the banded rows, which are the alternating row colors. But I think I like it better with them. We can also highlight the first column and the last column. In our case, this kind of makes sense because the first column and the last column are really the two data sets that are very important to us. We care about the date, and we care about how the stock changed on that date. Okay, so now we've got a fairly nice looking table here. We might want to do some more with the column headings, but we can leave them for now. All in all, this doesn't look bad. So we're going to move into printing. And because we've got 250 rows, if I go to print, you're going to see that this is going to take up more than one page. In fact, this is going to take up 6 pages. And the last 5 pages are just going to be numbers with no headings. So what we want to do is set up the table headings so they show up on all 6 pages. How we're going to do that is to go to Page Layout, and we're going to go under the Page Setup group on the ribbon, we're going to pick Print Titles. In the dialog box that shows up, we're going to click on the little box that says Rows to Repeat at top. And we're just going to highlight the first row. Excellent. Done. Next, under the Margins tab, we're going to say Center on Page horizontally. And that's going to move our table to the center of the page. Excellent. Okay. Now, if we go back into Print Preview, we should see those headings on the top of each page. And as you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see the text, but you can probably see the darker blue row at the top. Excellent. Okay. Now our table is ready to print, and we've gone and made this look like a much nicer table. All right. Excellent. I think that looks pretty good. So, mission accomplished. We now have a good-looking table that's ready to be printed and submitted. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you around the CIS sandbox. Finally, under the Header and Footer tab, we're going to go to the Footer section, and we're going to say to include the page number. And we're going to say page 1 of, and hit OK. Excellent. Now we're finished. If we go to the Print Preview, we should see that our title row is now repeated at the beginning of each page, which it is. And at the very bottom, you can also see that it's showing page 3 of 6. So the page that we're currently on out of the total number of pages, which can be very useful for someone reading a document that is only really containing numbers that don't really mean much without the context. Alright guys, so there we go. We've looked a little bit into how to make a table look a little prettier, and we came up with a fairly good looking product. Okay, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you around the CIS sandbox.